How can a man so deeply flawed, a man who deceived his own family and fled in fear, become the father of a chosen nation? Have you ever wondered how God can take the most imperfect people, those who seem least qualified, and use them to fulfill His divine plan? Jacob's life is a testament to this truth, and today we'll explore his incredible journey. From his dramatic birth, where he grasped his brother's heel, to his cunning schemes to secure the birthright and blessing, Jacob's life is filled with moments of tension and conflict. But it's also a story of transformation, a man who wrestled with God both literally and spiritually and emerged forever changed. Jacob's journey is not just about his struggles, it's about God's unwavering faithfulness, His ability to redeem even the most broken, and His power to turn human flaws into divine purpose. As we dive into Jacob's story, we'll uncover timeless lessons about faith, perseverance, and grace. His life challenges us to reflect on our own journeys, our struggles, our failures, and the ways God can use them to shape us into who we're meant to be. So get ready to be inspired by the story of Jacob, the man who wrestled with God and came out transformed. The story of Jacob begins long before his birth, with his parents, Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac, the son of Abraham, carried the weight of a divine promise, a covenant made by God with his father Abraham. This promise was no small matter. It was the foundation of a plan to create a great nation through which all the families of the earth would be blessed. Yet for 20 long years, Isaac and Rebekah faced the heartbreak of barrenness. In a time when children were seen as a sign of God's favor and a continuation of one's legacy, their inability to conceive must have felt like a heavy burden. Imagine the quiet prayers, the unspoken fears, and the lingering question, would God's promise to Abraham end with Isaac? But Isaac, a man of faith, did not give up. He turned to God in prayer, pleading for a child. The Bible tells us in Genesis 25:21, Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. This moment is a testament to the power of persistent prayer and God's faithfulness to His promises. Yet, as we'll see, God's answers often come with challenges that test our faith and shape our character. Rebekah's pregnancy was far from ordinary. The Bible describes how the babies jostled within her, causing her great discomfort and confusion. This was no normal pregnancy. It was a physical manifestation of the tension and conflict that would define the lives of her children. In her distress, Rebekah sought the Lord, asking, "Why is this happening to me?" God's response was profound and prophetic. 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. This prophecy was a divine declaration that defied human conventions. In the ancient world, the firstborn son held a position of honor and authority. He was the heir to the family's wealth, leadership, and spiritual blessings. Yet God made it clear that His plan would overturn these expectations. The younger son, Jacob, would take precedence over the older, Esau. This was not just a prediction about 2 brothers. It was a statement about how God works. He often chooses the unlikely, the overlooked, and the underestimated to fulfill His purposes. It's a theme we see throughout the Bible, from David the shepherd boy who became king, to the disciples, ordinary fishermen who became the foundation of the church. When the time came for Rebekah to give birth, the prophecy began to unfold in dramatic fashion. The firstborn, Esau, emerged red and covered in hair, a striking image that foreshadowed his rugged and impulsive nature. His appearance was so unusual that they named him Esau, meaning hairy. But the drama didn't end there. As Esau was born, his twin brother Jacob followed close behind, grasping Esau's heel as if trying to pull him back. This unusual moment was more than a physical act. It was a symbol of Jacob's determined and cunning nature, traits that would define much of his life. His name, Jacob, meaning heel grabber or supplanter, reflected this moment and foreshadowed the struggles and conflicts that lay ahead. From the very beginning, Jacob's story challenges our understanding of how God works. In choosing the younger over the older, God demonstrated that his plans are not bound by human traditions or expectations. He often works through the unexpected, using those who seem least likely to fulfill his purposes. Jacob's grasping of Esau's heel was a small but powerful sign of the struggles and conflicts that would mark his life. Yet it also pointed to the greater truth that God's will cannot be thwarted, even by human flaws or convention. The tension between Jacob and Esau, hinted at during their birth, begins to take shape as they grow older. The Bible describes the brothers as polar opposites, each embodying distinct traits that would define their lives and their choices. Esau, the firstborn, was a man of the field, a skillful hunter who thrived in the open country. He was rugged, impulsive, and driven by his physical appetites. Jacob, on the other hand, was quiet and thoughtful, preferring the life of the tents. He was shrewd, calculating, and always looking for an opportunity to gain an advantage. These contrasting personalities set the stage for one of the most famous and revealing moments in their story: the struggle for the birthright. The birthright in ancient times was more than just a material inheritance. It was a position of honor and responsibility, granting the firstborn son leadership over the family and a double portion of the inheritance. For Isaac's family, the birthright carried even greater significance. It was tied to the covenant God had made with Abraham. The holder of the birthright would inherit not only wealth and authority, but also the spiritual blessings of God's promise to make Abraham's descendants into a great nation. It was a sacred and priceless privilege. Yet, Esau, impulsive and short-sighted, failed to grasp the true value of what he possessed. One day, after returning from the field famished, Esau found Jacob cooking a pot of stew. Overcome by hunger, Esau demanded, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." Jacob, ever the opportunist, saw his chance. He replied, "First, sell me your birthright." Esau's response reveals his reckless and impulsive nature. "Look, I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" In his exaggerated hunger, Esau was willing to trade something of immense spiritual and generational value for a moment of physical satisfaction. Jacob, shrewd and calculating, seized the opportunity. He made Esau swear an oath, legally binding the exchange, and then gave him the stew and some bread. The Bible concludes this episode with a powerful statement: "So Esau despised his birthright." This seemingly simple transaction is loaded with spiritual significance. Esau's willingness to trade his birthright for a meal reveals his lack of foresight and appreciation for the divine blessings tied to it. He was a man driven by his immediate desires, unable to see beyond the present moment. His impulsiveness and disregard for the birthright stand in stark contrast to Jacob's determination to secure it. While Jacob's methods may seem questionable, his actions reflect a deep understanding of the value of God's blessings and a willingness to do whatever it took to obtain them. This incident also highlights a deeper truth about human nature and spiritual priorities. Esau represents those who prioritize the temporary over the eternal, who trade lasting blessings for fleeting pleasures. Jacob, despite his flaws, represents the pursuit of God's promises, even when it requires cunning and persistence. The Bible does not explicitly judge Jacob's actions in this moment, but the narrative makes it clear that Esau's recklessness had profound consequences. By despising his birthright, Esau forfeited not only material wealth, but also his role in the unfolding of God's covenant. The struggle for the birthright is more than a story of sibling rivalry. It's a reflection of the choices we all face. Do we value the eternal blessings of God, or are we easily swayed by the demands of the moment? Jacob's determination, though flawed in execution, reminds us of the importance of seeking God's promises with all our hearts. Esau's impulsiveness serves as a cautionary tale, warning us not to trade what is truly valuable for what is merely convenient. This pivotal moment in Jacob and Esau's story sets the stage for the next great conflict between the brothers. While Jacob has secured the birthright, the blessing of their father Isaac still hangs in the balance. In a family already divided by favoritism, Rebekah and Jacob devise a bold and risky plan to ensure that Jacob receives the blessing meant for Esau. But this act of deception will have far-reaching consequences, not only for Jacob and Esau, but for the entire family. The struggle between Jacob and Esau reaches a dramatic turning point in the story of the stolen blessing. While Jacob had already secured the birthright through cunning, the blessing of their father Isaac, a prophetic and irrevocable declaration of future prosperity and leadership, remained undecided. In a family divided by favoritism, Isaac favored Esau, the rugged hunter, while Rebekah favored Jacob, the quiet and calculating son. This favoritism set the stage for a bold and risky plan that would change the course of their lives forever. Isaac, now old and nearly blind, sensed that his time was drawing near. He called Esau his firstborn and said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." Esau eagerly obeyed, unaware that Rebekah had overheard the conversation. Rebekah, remembering the prophecy that the older would serve the younger, was determined to ensure that Jacob received the blessing. She quickly devised a plan and called Jacob to her side. "Listen carefully," she said. "I overheard your father speaking to your brother Esau. Now, my son, do exactly as I tell you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob hesitated, not out of moral concern, but out of fear of being caught. "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a man with smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." Rebekah, unwavering in her determination, replied, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say." The tension builds as Rebekah prepares the meal and helps Jacob disguise himself. She dresses him in Esau's clothes and covers his hands and neck with goat skins to mimic Esau's hairy skin. With the food in hand and his disguise complete, Jacob approaches his father. The scene is fraught with suspense as Jacob steps into Isaac's tent, his heart pounding with fear and anticipation. "My father?" Jacob says. Isaac, suspicious, asks, "Who is it?" Jacob replies, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac, still uncertain, questions him further. "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" Jacob lies again, invoking God's name to lend credibility to his deception. "The Lord your God gave me success." Isaac, still doubtful, asks Jacob to come closer so he can touch him. The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau? Isaac says, his senses at odds. Trusting his sense of touch over his hearing, Isaac finally eats the meal and blesses Jacob. The blessing is rich and prophetic. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. No sooner has Jacob left his father's presence than Esau returns from the hunt, prepared to receive his blessing. The realization of what has happened unfolds with dramatic intensity. Esau brings the meal to Isaac, who trembles violently and asks, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him. And indeed he will be blessed." Esau's reaction is heart-wrenching. The Bible describes how he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and pleaded with his father, "Bless me too, my father." But Isaac, bound by the irrevocable nature of the blessing, could only offer Esau a secondary blessing. "Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword and you will serve your brother, but when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck." Esau's bitterness quickly turns to rage. He vows to kill Jacob as soon as their father dies, saying to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob." Rebekah, hearing of Esau's plan, acts swiftly to protect Jacob. She urges him to flee to her brother Laban in Haran, saying, "Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back." This act ends with Jacob fleeing for his life, leaving behind his family, his home, and the consequences of his deception. While Jacob has secured the blessing, it comes at a great cost. He is now a fugitive, estranged from his brother and uncertain of what lies ahead. But Jacob's journey is far from over. As he ventures into the unknown, he will encounter God in a profound way, setting the stage for his transformation from a cunning deceiver to a man of faith. Jacob's journey reaches its most climactic and transformative moment at Peniel, a place where he comes face to face with God in a struggle that will forever change his life. By this point, Jacob has spent years away from his homeland, working under his uncle Laban, building a family, and amassing wealth. But now he is returning to Canaan, the land of his birth, and the tension is palpable. He knows that he must face his brother Esau, the man he deceived and fled from so many years ago. Fear grips Jacob as he prepares for this encounter, unsure if Esau still harbors the desire for revenge. As Jacob approaches the land, he sends messengers ahead to inform Esau of his arrival. When the messengers return with the news that Esau is coming to meet him with 400 men, Jacob is terrified. He divides his family and possessions into two groups, thinking, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the other group may escape. In his fear and desperation, Jacob turns to God in prayer, pleading for protection and reminding God of his promises. "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children." That night Jacob sends his family and possessions across the Jabbok River, leaving himself alone. It is in this solitude, in the stillness of the night, that Jacob's greatest struggle begins. The Bible tells us that a man appeared and wrestled with Jacob until daybreak. This mysterious figure is not identified at first, but as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that Jacob is wrestling with more than just a man. He is wrestling with God himself. The physical struggle is intense, lasting through the night. Jacob, known for his cunning and determination, refuses to give up. The man, seeing that he cannot overpower Jacob, touches the socket of Jacob's hip, wrenching it out of place. Despite the pain, Jacob clings to the man, refusing to let go. "Let me go, for it is daybreak," the man says. But Jacob, with unrelenting determination, replies, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." This moment is the culmination of Jacob's life of struggle. From the very beginning, Jacob has been a fighter, grasping his brother's heel at birth, scheming to secure the birthright and blessing, and navigating the challenges of life with Laban. But this struggle is different. It is not about cunning or manipulation. It is about surrender and transformation. Jacob's demand for a blessing reflects his deep desire for God's favor and his recognition that he cannot move forward without it. The man responds with a question, "What is your name?" Jacob answers, "Jacob," a name that means heel grabber or deceiver. But the man declares, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." This name change is profoundly significant. It marks a transformation in Jacob's identity, from a deceiver to one who wrestles with God and prevails. "I will wrestle with God and prevail." It is a moment of divine affirmation, showing that Jacob's persistence and faith have been recognized and rewarded. As the sun rises, Jacob names the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." But Jacob does not leave this encounter unmarked. The man's touch on his hip leaves him with a limp, a physical reminder of his struggle with God. This limp is more than just a wound. It is a symbol of Jacob's transformation. He is no longer the same man who relied on his own cunning and strength. He is now a man who has encountered God, wrestled with him, and emerged changed. The impact of this encounter is both immediate and lasting. Physically, Jacob's limp serves as a constant reminder of his dependence on God. Spiritually, the name Israel signifies a new chapter in his life, a chapter defined by his relationship with God and his role as the father of a chosen nation. This moment at Peniel is a turning point not just for Jacob, but for the entire story of Israel. It is here that Jacob fully steps into his role as the patriarch of God's covenant people. As Jacob limps away from Peniel, the sun rises on a new day, both literally and figuratively. He is no longer the same man who fled from his brother in fear. Now, as Israel, he is ready to face Esau, trusting in God's promises and protection. The encounter with God has prepared Jacob for the reconciliation that lies ahead and the legacy he will leave behind. As the sun rises over Peniel, Jacob, now limping from his encounter with God, prepares to face the moment he has dreaded for 20 years, his reunion with Esau. The last time the brothers were together, Esau had vowed to kill Jacob for stealing his blessing. Now Jacob approaches this meeting with a mixture of fear, humility, and faith, trusting in God's protection after his transformative encounter at Peniel. Jacob carefully arranges his family into groups, placing the maids and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. This arrangement reflects both Jacob's strategy and his lingering favoritism toward Rachel and Joseph. But instead of hiding behind his family, Jacob takes the lead, walking ahead of them. As he approaches Esau, Jacob bows to the ground 7 times, a gesture of deep humility and submission. This act is not just a strategy to appease Esau. It is a sign of Jacob's changed heart. The once cunning deceiver now approaches his brother with genuine humility. The tension builds as Esau approaches with 400 men. But instead of anger or revenge, Esau runs to meet Jacob, embraces him, throws his arms around his neck, and kisses him. Both brothers weep, their tears washing away years of bitterness and pain. This moment of reconciliation is one of the most powerful in the Bible. a testament to the healing power of forgiveness. Esau's embrace is unexpected and deeply moving, showing that time, and perhaps God's work in Esau's heart, has softened his anger. Jacob, overwhelmed by Esau's kindness, insists on giving him gifts as a gesture of goodwill. Though Esau initially refuses, Jacob urges him, saying, "Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me and I have all I need." This statement reflects Jacob's recognition of God's blessings in his life and his desire to make amends. Esau finally accepts the gifts, and the brothers part ways peacefully, marking the end of their long-standing conflict. After reconciling with Esau, Jacob continues his journey, eventually settling in Canaan, the land promised to his grandfather Abraham. Jacob's later years are marked by both triumphs and tragedies, as his family grows and God's promises begin to take shape. Jacob becomes the father of 12 sons who will go on to form the 12 tribes of Israel. Each son's birth is significant, often accompanied by tension and rivalry between Jacob's wives, Leah and Rachel, and their maidservants, Bilhah and Zilpah. The names of Jacob's sons reflect the emotions and struggles of their mothers, as well as the unfolding of God's plan. Among these sons, Joseph, the firstborn of Rachel, becomes Jacob's favorite, a fact that will later lead to jealousy and conflict among the brothers. Tragedy strikes when Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife, dies during the birth of their second son, Benjamin. This loss is devastating for Jacob, as Rachel was the love of his life. She is buried on the way to Bethlehem, and Jacob names their son Benjamin, meaning son of my right hand. This moment is bittersweet, as it marks both the joy of new life and the pain of loss. Rachel's death leaves a lasting void in Jacob's life, but it also solidifies Benjamin's special place in his heart. Jacob's later years are also marked by family conflict and heartbreak. His favoritism toward Joseph creates tension among his sons, culminating in their betrayal of Joseph. The brothers sell Joseph into slavery and deceive Jacob into believing that Joseph has been killed by a wild animal. Jacob's grief is profound, and he mourns for Joseph for many years, refusing to be comforted. This period of sorrow is a dark chapter in Jacob's life, but it also sets the stage for one of the most remarkable stories of redemption in the Bible. Despite the challenges and heartbreaks, Jacob's life is a testament to God's faithfulness. Through Jacob, God fulfills his promise to Abraham to make his descendants into a great nation. Jacob's 12 sons become the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, each playing a unique role in the history of God's people. From Judah, the tribe of kings, to Levi, the tribe of priests, Jacob's legacy is woven into the fabric of God's redemptive plan. In his final years, Jacob is reunited with Joseph, who has risen to power in Egypt. This reunion is one of the most emotional moments in Jacob's story. When Jacob learns that Joseph is alive, his spirit is revived, and he travels to Egypt to see his son. The Bible describes their reunion with great tenderness. Joseph threw his arms around his father and wept for a long time. For Jacob, this moment is a fulfillment of God's promise to preserve his family, even through the darkest time. Jacob spends the last 17 years of his life in Egypt, surrounded by his family. Before his death, he blesses each of his sons, offering prophetic words about their futures. He also adopts Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, elevating them to the status of his own sons and ensuring their place in the inheritance. Jacob's blessings are rich with symbolism and reflect his deep understanding of God's plan for his descendants. At the end of his life, Jacob gives clear instructions to be buried in the cave of Machpelah, alongside Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, and Leah. His death marks the end of an extraordinary journey, but his legacy lives on through the nation of Israel. Jacob's story is a powerful reminder that God's plans are not limited by human flaws, failures, or imperfections. From his birth as the younger twin grasping his brother's heel, to his cunning schemes to secure the birthright and blessing, to his transformative encounter with God at Peniel, Jacob's life is a journey of struggle, redemption, and divine purpose. Despite his mistakes and shortcomings, God chose Jacob to be the father of a great nation, proving that he can use even the most imperfect people to fulfill his greater purposes. What lessons can we take from Jacob's journey? Perhaps it's the importance of perseverance in the face of challenges, or the need to trust in God's promises, even when the path seems uncertain. Maybe it's the realization that transformation often comes through struggle, and that God's blessings are worth holding on to, no matter the cost. Jacob's story challenges us to reflect on our own lives. How are we wrestling with God? How are we seeking His blessings? And how can we trust Him to work through our flaws and struggles to accomplish His will? As we close, let Jacob's story inspire you to trust in God's plan for your life. No matter where you are in your journey, whether you're facing conflict, wrestling with doubt, or seeking reconciliation, know that God is with you, just as He was with Jacob. He is faithful to His promises, and He can use your story, with all its imperfections, to bring about something greater than you could ever imagine. If this video touched your heart or made you reflect, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could benefit from this message. Let's spread the hope and inspiration found in Jacob's story to others who may need it. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Bible Stories That Grow Your Faith, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos about biblical characters and the life lessons we can learn from them. Thank you for watching, and remember, just as God worked in Jacob's life, He wants to work in yours too. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories from the Bible, and we'll see you in the next video.